Well, shalom, hello there. Welcome to the Watcher's Plug. Thank you for joining us today. On this video, we're going to be watching as Prophet Makandiwa was teaching and touching on the concept of tithing. Now, he was explaining how some people claim that they do not tithe because they believe that tithing is a system or way of old, because they believe that tithing was only done in the Old Testament. But Prophet Makandiwa comes with a different revelation and explains and teaches on the importance of not only tithing, and he also shows the people that even in the New Testament, even with the introduction of Christ came and introduced the topic of tithing. Let's watch as he teaches. Stay blessed. Shalom.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees.
Now, he's not saying you're blessed. Understand the concept of tithing. According to the book of Malachi, you tithe, you get blessed. The windows are opened. But these ones, Jesus is introducing something very, very strange. There is a woe unto you, yet they tithe.
Scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. For ye pay tithe of mint and anise.
You see, the subject is on tithe. They are tithing faithfully, and yet he's calling them hypocrites. And he's not saying, blessed are you because you're tithing. He's saying, woe unto you. Because there is hypocrisy in the way that you do it.
For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
Now, you do this, and you have the hypocrisy is in the omission of matters that are weightier. When Jesus says that what you have omitted are weightier matters, he's simply trying to let you know that tithe is the simplest thing that any hypocrite can do. What you have chosen to omit are weightier matters. You have gone for lighter ones. And yet this is a major subject. This is a serious issue in Christendom. According to Jesus, Jesus is saying he's blaming them for going for the basics. Something that requires no energy, it requires no effort. Whether that was in the Old Testament, but how God rates it. I'm giving you this because when we talk about excelling in giving, there must be a standard that was set. When Jesus tells you that there are matters that are weightier, thank God he himself did not omit those matters that are weightier. And he specified that those weightier matters are also part of the law. And what you're going to hear there are not the 10 Commandments. We have heard people saying that we cannot tithe anymore because we are no longer under the law. So tithe is part of the law. So that ought to be omitted under the New Testament. All right? So let's listen at the other laws that are weightier. The laws. And you tell me if we are also supposed to omit those, since they are also matters of the law. Okay, we have to not tithe because tithing is a matter of the law. Let's hear other matters of the law, and you tell me we are no longer obligated to follow such laws.
And have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
Weightier matters of the law. These weightier matters are still of the law. What are the matters?
Judgment.
Another one.
Mercy.
Another one.
And faith.
Your Jesus is calling these matters of the law. Yes, I'm in agreement with most speakers that tithe is a matter of the law. And people say we are no longer under the law. If we say we are no longer under the law, we are also saying we can no longer tithe, right? Because tithe is a requirement under the law. Then Jesus introduces something that we never thought was part of the law. Faith is there. So are we supposed to then exercise faith under the New Testament, it being a part of the law? Right next to tithe, he gives us a list of matters that he calls weightier matters. Judgment, mercy, faith. And then he goes on to say, this idea, this aspect of tithe You, of course, were supposed to do it and not to leave other matters unattended.
These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone.
People don't understand what the law is. According to my understanding of the law, the Bible tells me that the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the law of sin and death. What is setting me free is another law. What is that law? If you say we are no longer under the law, you must really pinpoint accurately what is the law that you're no longer under and what has set you free from such a law. It is yet another law that has to be observed. What does it specify?
For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death.
You are always set free from the law by another law. You break a law, another law gets you arrested. So, God had to make use of another law in trying to set you free from the law of death. What is that law requiring before you celebrate your liberty from the bondage of law? We are no longer under the law, we are under grace. Can you explain grace? Yet there is a church here, already was saved by grace.
Wow.
Yeah? But they had no understanding of another grace that they were supposed to excel and abound in. Because grace comes in different measures, in different types, in different shapes, and even in different colors. If we are not going to tithe because it's a requirement under the law, here comes another requirement under the law, faith. Faith. So should we not practice faith under the New Testament? Because we've seen where Jesus, not Apostle Paul, Jesus, not Peter, Jesus, not Andrew, Jesus himself, he tells us that there are weightier matters that are of the law. And those ones you have abandoned. You have omitted. And you went on to keep the lighter one. Which is the lighter one?
Tithe.
Tithe. Tithe. Oh my God. And yet people are trying to set you free from tithe because to them it's a weightier matter. It's weighing on your salary. It's weighing on your income. Jesus calls that one, no, it's not even an issue. You wait for the least that anybody can do, who is as hypocritical as you are. Why have you left out other matters that are weightier? According to Jesus, in terms of weighing matters, he says faith is greater. Judgment is better. But you went for a lighter matter, which is tithe. And he goes on to say, he's not saying stop tithing. He's saying, yes, the idea of tithing, you ought to have tithe. You have to do that. And yet still execute proper judgment. And it's a matter of the law. What is it that you are giving? You must be able to look at what you have and the value of what you are giving. It is important. I think this week it's important that we keep on opening up our doors wide. So that because this message might touch certain people, and certain people would be instructed, will be compelled to excel in their giving grace. And there must be room for people to give to the Lord. That door, even as I'm speaking, is going to be opened where you start to give at a certain level, exceeding your norm, surpassing your standard, your way, your previous way of giving. Make it a point that you seek to excel, and you'll notice that as you make this stride and you take this giant leap and you exceed and you go beyond what you usually do, there's going to be a ripple effect. Everything else is going to succumb to that gesture. You will see levels changing in every aspect. In every aspect. How many of you believe that if you change what you usually do, everything around you changes? Everyone believes that. If you want to pass, you read more. If you want to be stronger, you exercise more. If you want your muscles to grow, you keep on adding more weight to the lift. And you will see your body adjusting to that kind of So don't be stuck in one dimension of giving. Try to measure this grace that you have, that I'm at what level. If you don't find pleasure in giving, I wonder what else gives you pleasure.